I'm going to,
Okay, so, we do have a quorum. We have Henrietta and Woody and myself, which makes a quorum. So the meeting is called to order. It is 6:32. And, oh, wait a minute, what,
you're looking at the minutes.
I know this is from May 14th.
Do you have the,
What?
those are the minutes from the last meeting. This is the agenda for tonight.
I know, but do we have them? Do we have the other minutes?
The
I
minutes from,
have June 11th.
Yeah,
From June 11th,
okay.
yeah.
I have those.
It's there.
no, so those are the minutes from last
Okay.
month, when we, in June, we reviewed May.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Oh, these are minutes. Okay, sorry. It's been a day. All right, so. So the minutes of June 11th.
I move they be approved.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, are there any additions, changes? Is it pretty accurate?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes of the June 14th meeting, 11th
Aye.
meeting? Say aye.
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 Minutes are approved, okay. Update on the Baldwin Hill property, I don't think anything actually has been done on that since our last meeting.
The last email that I read, they, what the wetlands people were held up because of bushes that are, after brambles that are getting in the way
Yeah,
of their making an
Bill called them barberry
Yeah,
bushes.
They have prickers.
they're
Yes.
nasty.
Yeah. And so we both went to the inland wetlands meeting and, requested that they wouldn't have to, have another sidewalk, because he said nobody's gonna wanna walk in there. First of all, there's so many ticks in there, so it's not the best,
Yeah.
Place to walk. But I guess they decided they are gonna have another sidewalk.
And are they gonna need more money to remove the bushes before they go in?
Probably.
Oh,
They haven't requested that yet. That has not come to my attention. Yeah. Okay, anything else on the Baldwin Hill property? Okay. Update on the request to expend 23,500 for the feasibility study. So a town meeting has been scheduled for June 18th,
June 18th?
July.
July.
July 18th. Okay, July 18th.
Here you go. That's a,
Happy.
Happy.
At six
Wow.
o'clock. And also at that meeting, they're going to be, going to vote on approving an ordinance to provide tax relief for low and moderate income housing, which we submitted to them, to the selectmen. And yeah, and some other issues, but those are the two that deal with our housing issues. So it would be good if we attended that and made sure that people understood what is needed and that they would vote positively on that. Are there any questions about that? Or comments? Woody, you have,
So it's to approve the 23.5 that we approved,
yes,
and also,
the selectmen approved, the finance board approved, and so now it has to go to a town meeting.
right. And the other item that we,
The other
Affects
item
us.
was that we wanted to change, create an ordinance so that the affordable housing, particularly that the housing trust owns and operates.
This thing that Michelle alerted us last
Yes,
month.
yes.
Oh, okay,
So that ordinance was sent to the selectmen and they are sending it on to the town.
They
For a
approved
vote.
it, yeah.
They approved it,
okay,
which is great.
yeah,
Yeah,
What time is the town meeting?
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, what do you were at the Habitat for Humanity.
yes,
Yeah, so all three of us, all four of us.
Yeah.
Were there.
I
So
know,
we
I
know.
wanted to, I'm gonna do it anyway, because I brought it up. Judy was smart enough to take some pictures. You see Henrietta, so.
I can see them. Yep.
Yeah, there's the tablecloth that I got in on their last month's budget. And I was hoping that the people who could not attend, I just wanted to share that with them, so.
Yeah,
Now it's in the recording.
okay. And then, we got to meet the new owners of those two homes. Which, did you have that other picture? No, you didn't have that.
I didn't
Okay.
load it up, no.
Okay. But I thought that was great to meet them,
yeah,
and they seem like great people to have in town.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's good. And I'm hoping that one woman who, what does she do? She does something
She's
with,
a property
prop-
manager.
she's a property manager, and she would be great to have on our,
But she works in like senior assisted living type situations, so she's. Helps place people and
Mhm.
stuff like that, so
but she might be useful on our commission.
I agree.
And we have 3 alternate openings.
Yeah, I agree. I talked to her a little bit. Right now, she's still working pretty far south,
Yeah,
but she's hoping to maybe find a job closer to home and that, which would then allow her to like come to commission meeting, right?
Yeah.
I think she's commuting almost an hour right now. She's working down. I've had her card. I forget where it is, but it's down near Greenwich or something.
and she's a lot younger than some of us.
Mhm.
So that would be, it would be great to get some more,
I think-
young blood on any of the commissions in town.
I think she would be great. I
Yeah.
think she would be very useful.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The only other thing I wanted to point out for the home dedication. And I was thinking about it too when I was going through Henrietta's review of the plan, but. We are doing a lot of the stuff that is in the toolkit that they got about like getting the word out and working with the other organizations and. Trying to make sure the other commissions know what's going on. Cause we had people from zoning and planning and, trying to think of who else, sustainability, EDC. I mean, yeah, I like invited every commission to come and at least one person from almost everyone came. So it's just like,
well, that's great. Thank you for doing that, because I think that's amazing.
everyone
Full
always
house.
says. Yeah, well, cause that's, they say, well, I had no idea, and we do all this work, we write articles for the newsletter, we put editorials in the newspaper, like. You just gotta hit it like 20 times.
I know, definitely.
Right, so I feel like, every time we do something like that and make people aware of Habitat and the commission and the trust. It helps a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so. It's good.
And just this last month, I had 2 people that called me about affordable housing, how to get on the list. So that's a good thing. So I directed them to the Washington Community Housing Trust to do that. So things are happening, and that's good. So the next thing on the agenda is the selectmen's response to our request, which we just discussed, that they approved it and it's going to the town meeting. So that's an excellent thing. I was hoping that some people from the trust were gonna be here tonight. Some people did say they were coming, but they aren't here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Should I send the agenda and minutes to them every month? Should I just
You
add them
could
to
do
my-
that, sure.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That's an item on Henrietta's follow-up on all the things, and it excited me because it almost sounded like one of us ought to be at their
Meetings.
monthly meeting,
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
and one of them should be here at ours. We're in the same business.
I know,
Got
exactly.
Different functions.
And
I haven't never been invited to their meetings.
me either,
but-
and I've asked.
Um,
Are they closed for some reason?
no, I don't think they're closed necessarily, but
It
And
just seems
I-
like we're
I-
closed.
meetings that I've been at with them have been with Lindsay Larson from the Litchfield County
Center
We know-
for
Center of
Housing
Housing
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
about, right.
Control.
So she takes care of that, and so I'm always at those, I try to always be at those meetings, and Bill is there, and sometimes Brad Sedito, who's a member of the trust, comes, and David Berto, who coordinates all this stuff, he's almost always there. So that's a good thing, but yeah, I mean, is there,
I wouldn't want to have to go to all of them, but just for my own education, if I were there quarterly or
okay,
3 times a year or something, it would improve my vision of this whole thing.
okay,
Maybe we
I-
should just check with Bill and ask, just say that we're interested in attending those meetings as well.
and then ask him to have some representative from there
Yeah,
to come to our meetings on a regular basis.
Yeah.
right.
Bill comes when we've got something on the agenda. One thing that I think would be really helpful.
Well, I thought that I had sent out a thing about this housing plan update that Michelle had, that Henrietta had done, that we would start discussing it. I thought I had sent that to them. But maybe not.
We got a copy of it.
Yeah, were they on, was Bill on Bill Fairburn on that email? I don't know.
Um, okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking back to just in general, the understanding, I think, and I get a lot of questions. About their finances and how their ins and out, they're collecting rents. How is that used for their property management? Such that they don't have cash on hand for capital improvements, which we're applying for grants for, there's like, the town is. Funding a lot of these studies and stuff, which is great, but I think it would help to have an understanding of. Their income and expenses, yeah.
So I'm not sure when they have their meetings.
No,
Usually, I think it's a Wednesday, because it's usually after the meeting that I go to. That Lindsay. Facilitates. Usually after that. So if I contact Bill. About that and ask him if, and then I'll get in touch with you and you could go to the next meeting. Maybe,
Mhm.
if you're
Yeah.
available.
Sure,
Yeah.
and I think it's not just my need, I think
All of us.
all
need-
of us.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
We're in a rota, say,
Yeah.
whatever, we just be that more on top of things.
Okay. So,
Do you go to the meetings? Does Michelle, do you go?
I have not been invited either, and I've asked. I mean, I haven't pushed it, I just figured. Maybe they didn't want me there, I'm not really sure, but I also am thinking, like, if you guys, if myself included, I'm happy to go, if we each kind of took a month. Right, and reported back as an agenda
Yeah,
item,
yeah, yeah.
you could share,
Yeah,
then
that's a good
we're
idea.
not feeling like we have another monthly meeting. We each go once a quarter or something.
Okay.
a few months.
So I'm gonna contact Bill about that. And then
Yeah,
I'll get back to everybody.
because we would have also more background information because they're always coming to us for money. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. So we should probably attend those meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
I agree.
Think so too. Okay, this is something that actually one of the members of the trust, Linda Frank, had brought up at the home dedication, you know, she was adamant about the fact that, you know, we should not be having to go to the town for every little piece of money that we need to support the housing trust, because it's in our budget anyway. And I think that, I think we feel that way too. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Woody?
I agree. It's been pre-approved and it's been budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was Jay, the meeting we attended.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't speak or anything, but, they understand it as a, kind of double check,
Yeah,
fail-safe thing to do it that way.
So I spoke with Jim Britton and Linda Gomez, who's our finance manager, about this. Just trying to ask like what would be acceptable to them to, you know, to approve a project, you know, up to, not to exceed, whatever, and then let the housing commission approve each of the steps or the invoices. And they got the concept and they weren't really sure. You know, Jim was saying, well, if we had like the item, like the expected costs that David Berto gave us, which is how we came up with the 350 to bring it to grant, right? So if we ask for approval to bring that project up to grant ready with an itemized list of everything that needs to get done and estimated costs.
Right.
They felt that would be, that would be a good place to start, but what Linda. I'm sorry. But what Linda suggested is that we put it on a Board of Finance agenda. And I asked her to do that, and their meeting is next Monday, the 15th. That agenda's not out yet, so I don't know what, but because that concept has to be approved by the Board of Finance. And the Board of Selectmen are in favor of the concept, they just aren't really sure, like, how specific does that town approval need to be in order to meet their sort of checks and balances criteria, you know? And I said, look, it could be the itemized estimate with not to exceeds, and if anything outside of that comes up, well, then it goes to a town meeting. But you know, if the project, if we only have to have 2 meetings instead of 10, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Right? Because yeah, maybe something will come up that we didn't anticipate, some kind of weird engineering because there's ledge, or I don't know. So we have to do something else that was not foreseen. So they're wary of it. They get it. They want to find a solution, but they're not sure what it is.
okay, so how do we make sure it's on the Board of Finance agenda?
So I'll check with Linda again. I mean, I asked her, we had a conversation last Thursday, so I'll just make myself a note. I'll ask her again tomorrow.
Michelle, doesn't Bill, don't they need to have like a pretty detailed budget anyway when they're applying for their grants? So that's a part I didn't quite understand when this came out with Bill. Because if you're applying for a grant, you need to have some information about what the costs are going to be. So would that be a way of approaching the Board of Finance that we're going to have this budget for this project, and X amounts coming from grants, we're gonna be asking the town for X amount. Then that way they can see what it all looks like.
Yeah, so
You know what
the
I mean?
money that we've asked, the 350 is actually the pre-grant expenditures to actually fill out the grant form. It's the feasibility, the engineering, the design, there's no construction.
There's
But-
no
but-
construction.
But is there, you know, is it written out exactly how much
Well, David
each thing?
Berto,
He must have that information.
well, he gave it to us in order, and we had to give that to the Board of Selectmen in order to get it into the budget.
But
You know,
that was just like a sliver of what the project is gonna be, because, and I guess I'm just kind of, playing devil's advocate, but if I was the Board of Finance, so what happens is Bill gives us something will come up and he'll ask for $15,000 or he'll ask for a certain amount. I'm wondering if they could see that this is going to be $1 million project and X amount of dollars is going to be needed to do the feasibility study, to do, clear whatever it happens to be that would come out of the Housing Commission funds, that they can see that 100,000 of the 350 is going to be going for the Wickham Road project. And so,
So
yeah, I
Henry,
don't-
yeah, the 350 is all for the Wickham project, and
That's-
it's to determine how much that project, we don't know, we don't know that it's $1 million project. We don't know how many houses, we don't know how it perks. Can we put 3 houses or 15 houses? Or we have
Right.
no idea. So the 350, believe it or not, is
it's
really,
just for the Wickham.
it's to
It's just the
explore that
beginning.
project. We're probably gonna need 12 million or something crazy to build it.
Build it, right?
But we don't even know what we can build until we do the $350,000 worth of work that David Burchos is anticipating roughly to get to design.
And so once that's done, will the trust then be coming back to us for more money? So once
Well,
that piece is done, then
The intention, basically, what will happen then is, okay, after the 350, it's been surveyed, they've done the feasibility, they've done engineering design, they've done concept design, driveways, all of that, right? So we know what can be built, people have decided what they want to see there, and they got an estimate for it, and let's just say it's $10 million, whatever it is. Then the trust is gonna start filling out the grant applications for the community development block grants, Department of Housing, anything and everything that's available, fundraising through private donors. The town, the town has contributed to projects in the past that had state, federal, and town money all contributed. So yeah, like a funding plan will have to be thought about, but until we know what can go there, that's not even, we're like not even close to that. And if it becomes a lot of that will be determined by what is decided to go there, because single family homes, because they have a mortgage, there's less actual grant money needed. If they're building multifamily rentals, 100% of that has to be financed in some form or fashion. So the finance, it could come back saying that it could perk 30 bedrooms. Well, that could be in multiple configurations of single family homes and multifamily homes and or rentals. So, and Bill said at the selectmen's meeting or at the budget, they want to work with the town to see what people feel they
That they
want there.
want.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they're
Yeah.
gonna work with the commission and, the Board of Selectmen. Say, what do we feel the town most needs? Once we figure out how many bedrooms it perks.
Mhm.
And, yeah, so it's a mix. And sometimes, the Department of Housing has preferences for what they want to fund.
Right,
So, we could go for a CDBG grant of 5 multifamilies that each have 4 units or something. Because they say, we only want to see projects that have 20 units or more, because they like big
Mhm.
projects. But then if we don't get that funding, we're just sitting around,
Yeah.
we might go back to the drawing board and be like, well, let's put in a couple of single family homes while we're waiting. I don't know. So
so this is the beginning, the very beginning stages,
yeah,
and it takes a long time. But if we could, if we didn't have to keep going back to the town,
For every $10,000.
feasibility.
It would help, it would be helpful.
yeah,
mhm. Well, and it is interesting because the way the ordinance is written, it's anything over 10,000 goes to Board of Finance and and a town meeting. But any expenditure goes to Board of Selectmen. So maybe the Board of Finance would be okay with every expenditure needing to still be
to the
approved by the Board of
Board of
Selectmen. They
Selectmen.
meet every 2 weeks. That wouldn't slow things down
That would
nearly
be
as
slow the
much.
process, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't be as bad.
Mhm.
so I think it would be great if we could get that on the agenda for Monday
Yeah, so I will,
somehow, let me know.
I'll check in with Linda Gomez again. I mean, I was sitting in her office with Jim Britton. And they both felt that was the way to go. To just explore the topic, see
Yeah,
what
see how
they
they-
would be
yeah,
comfortable with
right.
without necessarily having specific language.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so
So
that's.
you're
gonna
going to follow up on
I'll make sure that, yeah, I'll follow up with her and ask again that it's on the agenda. And I'll let you all know. So if it is, it's July 15th at 5.
the thought, yeah.
Board of
Okay,
Finance
Monday
is
at
at 5. Yep,
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so, this wonderful update that Henrietta did. I think it's fabulous.
I do too. I do too.
So you can see that things have been done. And we have a ways to go.
I had a couple of questions and possible edits.
Okay,
I didn't know if we wanted to just talk about that.
Yeah,
go
well-
through it, yeah,
yeah, what are your questions?
okay. Well, I would suggest on the first page where it says update, that we just date that July 2024, which shows that we're like halfway through the plan.
Okay.
Because I feel like once this is
Yeah,
finalized, we'll load it up to the website.
yeah,
Yeah. The next thing I didn't completely understand is on page 3. It's part of number 2, which says work with Steep Rock Association for land. The last, comment says the Board of Directors supports this recommendation and will present it for a vote at the town meeting. And I just wasn't sure what Board of Directors of which of the organizations, because we've got Housing Commission and we got the Trust and we got Steep Rock.
I see the Steep Rock reference on page 2. I don't see it on 3. What,
So at the bottom, the very last thing under accomplishments and next steps, it says the Board of Directors supports this recommendation. But who is that? What-
Let me see here.
do you mean the commission, the housing commission members?
Yeah, let me read this.
Maybe that was supposed to be selectmen?
Board of Selectmen, I think.
I think it was supposed to be selectmen.
Okay, so. Selectmen, okay, because it probably supports this recommendation, probably meaning. The right above it, the 23,500, the feasibility study. So,
Yeah,
okay, so Board of Selectmen. On that same page 3, under encourage private giving of land or funding. I just thought it would be worth saying that the Housing Commission put an article in the town newsletter, like the outreach and that has been done in that. Was there also a letter to the editor on that?
I don't think so.
I mean, the accomplishment is that there has been land donated, but I feel like the goal was to encourage, and so showing that articles have been written,
Definitely
Is-
articles have been written.
yeah, shows the, right, the outreach part. I felt like. But there are two, we had talked about doing a mailing about it, or a brochure. Bill was gonna work with us on something about explaining how to do it.
But we haven't gotten.
Yeah, no, we didn't, but we did, I think you wrote the article. About donating.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I would just suggest adding that.
did you get that, Henrietta? 'Cause
Yep,
You're gonna edit this, right?
yep, I will.
I mean, I think you sent it to me in Word and not a PDF, so I could do it too, but I didn't want to touch it. Because it's not my document, but. On page 4.
Wait a second, on page 3,
Yeah,
the same reference to, mentioning habitat. And, you know, we're fresh from the dedication of 2 new units. Are we keeping score against our 30?
I know,
Yes.
well, so that's a good point, and maybe we should mention that here, because those habitat houses. I met with, Kristen, but also, God, who was it right before her? Because we wanna count them as
Yeah.
affordable, so they committed to following the Chaffa guidelines. They spoke to the state and the state said, yes, that'll work. So as long as the original homeowner is in there. They followed the Chaffa guidelines. We get to count that until that homeowner moves. And then we'll see what kind of funding model it goes. So, yeah, so that's. So the state list comes out. I think it's in October that we have to submit, so I have to send them the deeds. And I think they're missing about 6 houses because I didn't have the deeds. Nope. I'm thinking they're missing all of the habitat houses. And some, I think
Are all of them, do all of them have the Chaffa? Oh, because have they followed the Chaffa guidelines on all of those houses?
I don't know about Shannon Kozak's.
Yeah,
But there are deed restrictions, well, on some of the original ones too, and I uploaded a couple of them, but I was having a hard time finding the restrictions, so anyway. Yes, that we should count those. Funding, I wonder where that would,
I would put it in the first page,
yeah, because
because we
where
talk about you need 30. And we could
Mhm.
put, to date, you've got X number that would be considered affordable.
right, because when.
Highlight it up front,
On page 1, right, because.
on the very front, yeah.
So.
I would have
in-
buried it.
In the plan. I feel like the ultimate. Counting here is, we're at 2-point-something% according to the state, and we have. Where is it? How many units total? According to the state, we have 44. Total, 2.07%. So when the next list comes out. We'll watch that number move. And see,
hopefully.
right,
Yeah.
right? Because there are some Chaffa mortgages out there that I don't know about, and it's confidential or it's protected, I don't know, so.
So how do we check that they have the right number?
I had been trying to figure that out for about 3 years. And asking Jocelyn finally got up with me. I went to the town clerk, to the assessor, to the board of selectmen. Nobody had been filling that form out. Nobody even knows where it was going. So I finally got Jocelyn to send it to me, and I sent in some stuff. Like a year ago, but I had to go through all the town clerk's records to find the deeds on these houses.
Wow,
So it's been a real bugaboo,
yeah.
truthfully. And the four original affordable houses in the Myfield project before it was Habitat, only 3 of the deeds are properly recorded. And I've been contacting a lawyer and contacting Sheila to try to get the 4th one.
What do you
properly-
mean properly recorded?
The
What's,
restriction's not on file. I can't send it to the state if I don't have a copy of it. It says it's supposed to be restricted. I went through the box in land use and zoning, there's like a huge file box. Of like the 10 years it took them to get Myfield project through zoning. And the affordability plan said they had to have 4 affordable houses. 3.
is there anything we can do to help you with that? No?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I've talked to Jocelyn because we also don't have anybody to monitor that those, when they are resold, that they go to somebody that meets the criteria. So one of my,
Do they have to?
they have to, they're deed restricted, I'm
right.
pretty sure in perpetuity. And so anybody doing a title search,
Not that, you're not talking about the Habitat.
not
Oh,
the
no, okay,
habitats,
yeah,
the
okay,
original 4.
yes,
Are deed restricted in perpetuity. The habitats are not deed restricted,
right,
but they're
That's what I-
following CHFA for the mortgage, so there are income limits
right.
that meet the state criteria.
Okay, so the other ones, there's nobody monitoring it?
So I had a realtor call me because one of them, homeowners, wanted to sell, and so they called Sheila and sent them to me, and they're like, and the realtor was like, how do I do this? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, it's complicated. I asked Bill, the trust doesn't want to do it. So I asked Jocelyn if that was something that the Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity could do to set up like a vetting thing,
Yeah.
and then maybe us as the commission could pay like a fee to have the homeowners vetted.
Yeah,
Because that's what happens with the down payment assistance program. Which I was gonna reach out to them to see if they do this, because the Housing Development Fund is the organization, the nonprofit that vets the homeowners for the down payment assistance and has them do
Yeah.
the 8 hours of education and all of that. And we pay them $500 to do all that out of the housing commission money. So I was gonna see if I could arrange something like that for
through them,
through somebody,
yeah,
either Jocelyn, if as their nonprofit sets that up as like a service to all the Northwest corner. I don't know.
Hmm.
Because, I'm sorry, this is like, it's so complicated, but if we ever want to encourage private homeowners to rent their accessory dwellings or their accessory apartments at affordable rates and get credit for that, I feel like we need to help them figure out how to vet the homeowners to make sure they meet the criteria, because that's what the state's gonna require. So if the Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity could set up a organization, so like, I feel like if we ever wanna pursue that, we have to have a mechanism in place to make it really easy for the homeowner.
mhm.
Right now, I can't even figure out how to get it done.
Okay,
for-
but getting back to this other issue of getting credit for these. Do you think that the center can help us with that?
Well, Jocelyn she forwards the email to me when the Department of Housing sends out the list each year, so that I can update it. So that's helpful. Cause nobody was on the list.
But I
Michelle,
mean,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's probably a silly question, but you know, the houses up in New Preston, and like they have like these apartments that are in New Preston, are those considered part of affordable housing
Church Street,
Yes,
on Church Street? Yeah.
yeah,
Are they included as part of the numbers as well?
yep, those are included, and anything that the housing trust does is included, and they're in the list. So if you look at what the state counts, there's government assisted, tenant rental assistance, which is like a state program, like if somebody's getting vouchers, that means the state vetted
Right.
them. And so, and we had 3 of those. Who knows who those people are, I don't know. Single family CHFA or USDA mortgages, there were 4 of those in town. I don't know who those people were. Deed restricted units, we had 23 of those, which is Riverwoods and Church Street. Cause those are all deed
Okay.
restricted through the trust. And the government assisted, we had 14 of those, that's Dodge Farm.
Dodge, okay, I was wondering about Dodge Farm also. So they're
So
all, they're all, included, but it's still
so
only
rentals-
2%. Okay,
Yeah, all that, for those 44 units together is 2.07%.
oh
And this
God,
is
okay.
this was the list from 2020. Yeah, I guess, yeah, 2020, because I think that was the latest list available in 2022 when the plan was done. Or 2021, really. So I don't know where it is right now, but that would be, I think that's one of those things that we're putting together the update of the plan, we should say where we are. So
Yeah.
I'll do a little research on that.
Okay.
On page 4. The downsizing page,
Mhm.
I think that our work on 21-27. Got out of our hands of our subcommittee, but it went through with amendments. And I'm not on top of each of those amendments, but I think that, the accomplishments, the next steps, these empty boxes. I think, that those ordinances
What page?
affect that.
So, you maybe have an older version?
I
There's
did,
there's an arrow.
There's an arrow that says that it,
oh,
I don't know why I don't know why yours
Maybe
didn't
the
print.
printer didn't go through. Okay.
So, yeah, because they're all accomplished
yeah,
Like,
oh, okay,
and exceeded, actually, like the
Yeah.
multifamily regs exceed all of the strategies. The only thing I was gonna say, Henrietta, is in the very last box, the bottom
Mhm.
one. I think there's just like a typo. It says, and mixed use housing be created throughout within the town of Washington. You like changed your mind on what you were gonna say.
Okay. Oh,
So I think the
So
within,
take out
just-
the
yeah,
within.
I would just take that out.
oh, okay, thanks.
Got it?
Yeah.
On page 5. Under number 2. I just thought, it would be worth mentioning the Department of Housing money for Baldwin Hill. I forget how much it is, but. Is it like 200,000? I don't remember.
I don't either.
That's the one that got grouped together,
Yes, the 250, I think.
250 maybe?
250?
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think it was 250,
We can
but
ask.
I can't.
50,000?
yeah,
I
I think
mean,
we
we
have to
haven't
ask.
seen it yet, but the commissioner said it was gonna come, so. That would be a C, I guess.
Okay.
And then number 3. Says assist the housing trust to build its capacity and resources. And, I would just list that we created a housing trust Facebook page for them with some posts, and we created a brochure, and that we have handed it out at all of our events. We bring it to the block party and anything that we do, we bring it.
We said creative brochure, and what was the other thing?
A Facebook page. I mean, we need to start posting more, but
Yeah.
we have a couple of posts there. If I think of it, I'll try to put that town meeting on there. Figure it out. Really not
Yeah,
good with Facebook.
you're doing a great job, Michelle. So just keep on doing it.
Okay, thanks. The last thing I had was on page 8. And I'm not really sure how to word it, but under number 2. because I go to all the planning meetings. And the intent, because the new P O C D is gonna be done at the end of this year.
Right.
And the intent is to adopt the affordable housing plan wholesale into the P O C D. So, it says, the goal, make the housing plan part of the plan, and that's the intent.
Mhm.
Is to adopt it in its entirety. So,
So their plan is to include the entire plan, is what you're saying?
yep. As part of the plan of conservation and development. Usually they have a housing chapter and they might have some additional data in there, but their plan is to bring the whole plan in.
So I noticed that when I was reading it, they do have the a goal of creating that overlay zone. So how does that
I don't know if they're gonna
fit
leave that in
into
there.
all of this?
Because so the planning commission and the planning commission wrote letters to the zoning commission when there were the public hearings on the multifamily housing
Right.
for the overlay zone, and that was not included. I don't know if they're gonna make that a goal of theirs to push for in zoning over the next 10 years, or if they're just gonna let that one go. I'm not sure. Because they have a chapter usually village centers. And they, they really have this concept of developing the centers and keeping the village centers. Would be where smaller lots would be allowed and denser construction or development.
Mhm.
But that out in the farmland, the larger lots would be left. Whether that's affordable or not, like which allowing smaller lots is somewhere in the housing plan,
Mhm.
smaller building lots. The planning commission is only in favor of allowing smaller lots in the village, around the village centers.
Right.
But creating those zones, unless the planning commission actually like draws them and proposes them to zoning, I don't really foresee that happening, but I don't know, zoning could get proactive on that.
Looking through this, the plan of conservation development,
The draft.
yeah. I don't know.
That was it. That was all I had.
Wasn't bad.
No,
No.
I know. I mean, 8 pages of work. The only thing I was thinking about overall. I mean, the way you have done it is very clear and it makes a lot of sense. I was just trying to figure out, is there a way to make it not 8 pages? But
That's what Judy and I talked about. It's like,
right, like
I see,
Yeah.
format it differently, but.
I
you
couldn't
said
really
she
think
couldn't.
of one. I mean, the whole plan itself is only 18 pages, but. I mean, I guess. You would really only say, if you didn't go to a new page. For. Like a new goal, like if goal 3 started at the bottom, goal 4 could technically start on page 6. But even if you smushed them all together, I don't know. It might cut 1 page. I'm not sure it's worth it,
Yeah.
but. I mean, we'll post it once everybody is happy with it, we'll post it on the Housing Commission website. Just to kind of archive it, so we always have it to go back to. I don't know if we plan on making copies of it to distribute with the plan and when we have our information tables, I can certainly do that.
Yeah. I think that we should have a couple of copies
Okay.
available for sure.
Mhm.
Anyway, Henrietta, a noble job you have done.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Amazing. Right.
I had,
You have some more questions? Okay.
just a question on page 7. We have a whole bunch of next steps
Mm.
and, I'm guessing there would. We had a fuller attendance,
We could talk about what would be,
parcel out some of these.
yes,
Get engaged with them. Because, I would guess from my attendance at meetings, we spend 95% of our time on new housing affordably,
mhm,
and this stuff to keep seniors in their homes, it's all in the plan, but we don't talk about that.
no, that's true.
We haven't gotten to that,
Yeah.
yeah. I will just let you all know that at one point, back before COVID, the EDC was talking about a kind of like a renovation fund for homes, because before COVID, a lot of houses that had sat on the market and people were trying to downsize, but they couldn't sell their homes because they needed some upgrades. And some of them didn't meet CHFA, the CHFA
Mhm.
guidelines. So,
I mean, the homeowners didn't meet the chapter.
the,
Not
no,
the
no, no, the
homes.
home itself didn't meet the safety, they weren't up to code, right? They were built in the 60s or 70s and and to bring it up to code to qualify for a CHFA mortgage would take like $40,000, let's say. A roof and a septic issue or a whatever.
Sure.
And so the homeowner didn't have the money to put into it. And the potential buyers didn't either. So the thought was, okay, so we create this fund. And it would, actually Julie King and Pels Matthews, 2 realtors in town, like, I don't know if they're certified or they agreed to do the process for making sure that they met the CHFA, that the improvements met the CHFA guidelines. I don't know. It was a little while ago, but so it was gonna be vetted by the realtors, the work would be done. We would put in, we would loan out the $40,000 to make the improvements so the house could sell and the person could downsize. And then, when the house sold, the 40,000 would be returned back to the fund. So it would be just sort of a revolving,
Yeah.
so if the housing commission, for example, had $200,000, we could possibly have 2 to 3 homes going at a time. Then COVID hit and they all sold. For crazy ridiculous prices. So we just kind of like didn't do anything with that idea. I mean, think back, like Dave Workoven was trying to downsize. His house was on the market for like 2 years. He had already bought his condo and was trying to sell his house. I forget, there were quite a few examples out there of, modest homes that were built probably in the 70s or 80s,
Mhm.
some over on Revere Road too, but they wouldn't meet CHFA guidelines, and so they weren't moving. So the problem went away after COVID. But it was seen as something that the Economic Development Committee was
Looking at,
yeah, for trying to help bring in young families. Is helping these people turn their houses over. So that's the downsizing part. Haven't done anything with the ADA requirements, except that Habitat has a program.
well, they actually want the next house to be ADA
I know,
compliant.
compliant, but they also have a whole thing. I think you picked up a brochure about it. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if we can hook into what we're such a small town, we
Yeah.
only have so much bandwidth. Maybe we just promote their program
Yeah,
and help, promote it and fundraise for it, or,
Yeah.
cause it's the work the ramps are built by volunteers and stuff, but. They already have a program in place.
Okay.
Maybe we can find out more about that.
Let's do that.
I also do think that. While it's nice to move on to some of those others, we cannot lose sight of the. Wickham, like the town meetings, the money.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be. Approval, town sentiment, like there's like. Just helping get that project through. Is gonna take.
People are
effort.
very curious about it, that's for sure.
They're curious. I know neighbors are concerned.
You know people that are concerned?
I
Okay.
do. I do.
That did come up with Valerie.
I did,
Yeah.
Yeah, she expressed concerns, and so she's gonna be at the meeting. I know she will express.
Right, and I've already met with one neighbor. I mean, because of the Wickham Rise project, they're all sort of tuned in and,
And coordinated together.
Coordinated.
And coordinated. They already know how to fight, good fight. And
so I think, just helping smooth that whole process along, it's gonna take
Mhm.
time.
So if you know people that need some massaging, let us know. Really?
I will.
I mean,
I
Bill,
happen to know this one
I
person.
spoke
I
to
went and had
Bill,
lunch with her.
Bill, Bill said, yeah, we're gonna talk, I said, you gotta talk to the neighbors and find out. He said, oh yeah, we're gonna do that, but who knows if that's happening?
Well, excuse me, it's also a little early, like the lot lines haven't even been drawn yet.
Right.
Like it's not even recorded, that property is not even recorded at the clerk. And I was explaining the process to this concerned homeowner. Because, I mean, we're years away from shovels in the ground.
Yes.
We're just got feasibility and until we know what can go there,
Yeah,
I don't feel like it. We just don't know. We don't know anything, right?
so it behooves us to at least show up at this, town meeting
Mm.
and advocate for it,
Mhm.
the feasibility
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is just the first of many. That 23 is just like,
Oh, yeah.
wait, like, there's so much more.
Oh, of course.
So when I was doing the, putting together a design for sidewalks in the Titus block, because I was working on a grant. I held several public meetings. I had Zoom and I had everybody here and I had the architects here. And it was not to show them a final plan, but to show them a concept and get their feedback. And then we went back to the drawing board and did again, so that people felt that they had some buy-in and stuff.
Right.
So I think, when Bill says we want to build what the community wants, that's when we reach out to the neighbors and,
Yeah.
we kind of, or include them. We
Yes,
need to
for
look at
sure.
what the needs of the community are, but we also need to look at the neighborhood
Yeah. For
and be
sure.
sensitive to that. Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm gonna speak to Bill about at least one of us attending each of their trust meetings. We're gonna go to the meeting on July 15th.
Yeah, I'll let you know that it's on the agenda.
What?
I said, I'll
Yeah,
let you know.
You're gonna find
Yeah.
out about, yeah,
Yeah,
find out
I
about the
mean-
other thing, yeah.
and then the town
And then,
meeting.
and then the town meeting, July 18th. Yeah. Okay, so Michelle, will you correct that, on the agenda where it says June 18th,
Yeah. To say
say July 18th?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other concerns or what we should be looking at? What do you think?
Got any?
No, I don't, can't think of anything.
Okay. Henrietta?
Good, no concerns,
Okay,
okay?
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I don't know what happened to Charlie or Daryl.
Yeah,
Hear
I
from
saw
them.
Daryl earlier. I should have mentioned the meeting, but
Daryl, you saw
Yeah.
Daryl?